In life, we have a lot of setbacks. There's things that happen in our life, maybe things don't go our way, maybe things unexpected happen in our life. But what happens is we've got to make sure that we have a specific strategy to be able to overcome these failures. And I always say there's never failures, there's only feedback. So how do you overcome failure? I've got 10 strategies for you that can really help you overcome failure. If you've got a setback, how do you get over that? The first thing we've got to start thinking about is really accepting what has happened. Something happens in your life, you lose some money, business partner screws you over, your business has to restart from scratch, something happens in your personal life or your health. You've got to make sure that you just accept that that's happened and you can't let that stop you from moving forward. I remember the first time when I wanted to become an animator. So I went to university and I wanted to learn specific strategies on how to become an animator. I had to get really good math grades to get in, and I didn't get in. But it happened for a reason, because if I had got into that school, I probably wouldn't be giving you this little masterclass right now. Sometimes we have to accept that things have happened and then we have to reflect on it. I mean, what does it mean? We have things that happen in our life. We can't expect that it happens. We can't plan that it happens, but it happens anyway. How do you overcome that? What are some of the processes? What are the reflections you want to look at? And for me, it's always about the lessons. What lessons did you learn from that? What are some of the things that you can do now that you did before that you can do differently now? And so when you reflect upon that, it helps you move forward, because there will be failures in life, but we have to fail forward. Maybe you don't get the job. Maybe you start a business that fails. Maybe you made an investment, it goes to zero. Maybe you set out to do something, but it didn't happen. So it's all about the reflection. You got to start accepting it and then reflect upon it. And second thing is, make sure that you're learning from those experiences. I see a lot of people, they keep dwelling and dwelling and dwelling. Here's what happened, and they keep focusing on it. The problem is you keep focusing on it all the time, then you're not really moving on from that. For example, if you've been in a relationship before and something's happened in a relationship and it happened in the past and you're dragging into your present relationship, it's not going to serve you. It's like taking dirty water from before, put it into new water, it's going to contaminate it. You've got to learn from that experience. What are the learning points? What could you do differently? And what should you have done back then that you knew? Actually, for a lot of you, you know deep down, the gut feeling that you know you should have done something, but you still didn't do it. We have two brains. We have a brain up here and then we have a brain in our stomach. And they say we have so many nerve endings in here that we can really, that's why when people have a gut feeling if something happens, think of the experience of it. Whenever I look at experience, I think of these as learning experiences. Like, what are some of the things that I can do differently that I want back then that I'm going to do right now? A lot of the times I'm always thinking to myself, all these little lessons that I learn along the way. For example, in business, there's all these things that happen in business, but it's to make you stronger. It's to make you a better person. It's to make you a bigger version of you. We must always be learning from our past experiences and to not make sure we make that mistake again. A friend of mine said to me, say, John, you know, if you make a mistake once, that's okay. If you make a mistake again, now there's a warning. If you make a mistake for the third time, then maybe you should be doing something different. When we are getting those failures happen because we don't have the experience, and it's the gathering of all those experiences that makes sure it doesn't happen again. Number three, making sure that you're setting realistic goals. I see a lot of people very impatient. They want to get things done right now. They want things quick. And unfortunately, if you want to get a lot of things done quick, you're going to make some mistakes. And by the way, I'm guilty of this as well. When people say, well, John, what is realistic? Realistic is what has to happen in order for you to get that result. When you have a failure, when you have that thing that sets you back, is it getting you closer to the goal? And I also ask this question all the time. Is what I'm doing today getting me closer to tomorrow? And if the answer is no, then I need to stop doing it and I need to carry on doing the things that do get me closer to that goal. I remember my first goal was to create enough money basically to replace my income. I was on $36,000 a year. I was getting after taxes around $2,600, $2,800, something like that. And my goal was, well, it's not that hard to replace that. I started investing in real estate. I started buying property. I started renting properties out. And the difference, like one property would make me £300 a month. Another one would make me £500 a month. And then every 10 years, the properties also go up in value. So you can refinance it and take some money back out. That was actually my goal. That was my, I guess you'd call it a realistic goal. People ask me, how do you become a millionaire? It's actually quite simple. You just need to buy 5 houses, all worth $200,000 each, and hold them. And over time, the debt goes down, the value goes up. The difference is you're a millionaire. The fourth thing I think is really important is you've got to start developing a positive mindset. Instead of going, oh, why did this happen to me? Or always happens to me. And you know, you always use the words, always happens to me. This always happens. Be very careful of using words like always, because what you're trying to say is you're just putting everything into a bucket. And when you do that, your mind can't find a way out. That's why they always look at, if you want to do something different, you got to do something differently. People say, well, John, how do you develop that positive mindset? When I first started in real estate, I was working with a property property investor. This was going back 2 decades ago. And I was doing a lot of the work. Unfortunately, the relationship didn't quite work because they had different expectations. So this person wanted to do this, and he was a lot older than I am, and I wanted to do this. And so when you do that, your goals are not aligned. He said, maybe you should just leave, basically. So I left having taken nothing with me. That cost me a lot of money. What is the positive mindset on that? You are having an expensive education. That's why you should always have contracts in place. You should have communication, always have good lawyers as well. All I say is if shit happens, you just get the lawyers, you pay them the money, let them deal with it. You pay the professionals what they're worth. You know, there's that saying that say, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. But if you pay money, then you get the best. You know, 3 things you shouldn't skimp out on. Don't skimp out on a good accountant. Don't skimp out on good lawyers. Don't skimp out on mentors and coaches. These are 3 lessons that I've learned in 20 years. These people will protect you. The 5th thing is you got to seek the support. Seeking support is finding people that you can talk to. Sometimes we bottle things up, but actually it helps to just share these with other people. If you have a therapist, for example, I used to think therapists for people that were broken. That was an old mindset that was installed to me with a friend. But actually no, having a therapist, speaking to someone about your problems and solutions really helps. Whether it's a friend, therapist, somebody who was in your circle. Anytime something happens, you hit that failure, you hit that setback, who can you talk to that can really help you through it? It was one of the biggest challenges for me to reach out to people and say, I'm facing this issue right now, what can you do? It wasn't until I did that where a lot of my problems start going away. And I know, I say this myself, oh, but I can handle this. It's not a problem, but the problem is you start bottling up, you start getting sleepless nights, getting stressed, getting a lot of anxiety, and there's no way to disperse that energy. It's so important to seek the support. When you hit that failure and you want that feedback, of course you need to have perseverance to keep moving forward. A lot of people, when they come to me and say, John, how do I start a business that can replace my income? That's what a lot of people come to me for. By the way, if any of you want to learn how to do that, check the link in the description because we have a lot of training for you. It's all free that it can really help you achieve those goals. I've been doing this for over 20 years now. I've helped a lot of people start a business that replaces their income, so now they have the choice to do what they want to do. They can live life on their own terms. Start seeking the support. Who are the people you can speak to that are around you that can really guide you along the process? And it also helps if you find somebody who's already had the experience, who already has the know-how, who already has the contacts. And this is why it's always good to build a network. That's why they say your network is your net worth. But you must open up about the things that you do. Otherwise, how are people going to help you if they don't even know that you need help? That for me was a big moment. It was a big aha moment. Like sometimes you expect people to be psychic, but it doesn't always work out like that. The 6th thing is you've got to take constructive criticism. For example, when I first started off doing social media and I kept putting my content out there, I was like, why is no one liking, why is no one following my content? Why is no one sharing it? To me, I thought it was pretty good. This is why you need to get a best friend's opinion. Not a friend, but a best friend's opinion. Because a best friend, they'll tell you what you don't want to hear to become better. This is why you must always be the ultimate student. You must always be learning things. I've been speaking all around the world for 20 years now. Every time I'll always film some of my talk and I'll go through it and I'll go, I could have changed that, or that worked better. So I go through the whole thing and I make sure that everything I'm going through, I want to make it better. Where could I put a better story? Which side of the stage could I move on more? How could I make that point more impactful? If you get to a stage and you go, I know everything, unfortunately, you won't know everything. So you've got to make sure you are always striving just that 1% better. 1% better every single day, you'll start to lead to a completely different era. Why? 1% now, 2% tomorrow, and it starts to compound. When you get better at speaking, for example, all your meetings go better, trying to convince your business partners, board of directors that things, you should do this, or how you're communicating your products and services, it all feeds into everything else. When you have better health, you've got more energy, you have more energy to follow through. They say the fortune is in the follow-up. When you take that constructive criticism, a really simple sentence you can say to people, what did you like about that? And what do you think I could do better? Or what did you like about that? Or what would you like to see more of? By the way, those of you who watch my videos or you listen to my podcast, I'd love you to leave a comment or send me an email. Let me know what you love about this and let me know what you would love to see more of. So you're always asking for constructive criticism. You don't want to go through life thinking you're the best at stuff when there's always people better than you at doing that. So how can you do better than that? How can you keep improving? This is a mindset that I want for all of you. Many years ago, I learned this concept from Tony Robbins called CANI. It stands for constant and never-ending improvement. That means it doesn't matter where you are in life. If you had your 10,000 hours, there's a really good book written by Malcolm Gladwell talking about you've got to have these 10,000 hours of training and being in it. But no, it's like, how often do you take action on it and what results do you get from that? That's how you keep improving. Most people are not willing to improve. They're not willing to put the time in. They're not even willing to invest in their education to learn new skills. If you don't put the skills in, you don't deserve the results. If you put the hard work in, you invest in yourself, you learn this stuff, then you do deserve the results. You've got to be willing to take that criticism. And a lot of people come to me for mentoring all the time. Say, John, can you be my mentor or coach? I say, well, it depends. Are you coachable? I do a little test. I start giving them some feedback and I see how defensive they start getting. And if they keep coming again and again and again and again, I say, you know what? This mentoring's not for you. You want people with an open mind that are willing to take the feedback, take the hits, carry on moving, getting back up and moving forward again and again and again. Another thing that I think is important as well, if you are facing failure or setbacks, you need to also practice self-compassion. What do you mean by that? A lot of the times when we fail at something, it's because our expectations are maybe not aligned with what we expect. So we expect this, but we're always here. I'll give an example. If you look at where our intelligence level is, most of our intelligence up here. But if I say, hey, use the other hand to say where your income is, and it's always below the intelligence. That's when I figured out, by the way, you don't have to be intelligent to be rich. You have to have the right skills, you have to have the right know-how, you have to have the right people around you, you have to execute on a regular basis, get the feedback, tweak it, and keep altering it until you get that desired result. After all, this isn't how Thomas Edison created the light bulb. Don't beat yourself up all the time. I know a lot of you are perfectionists as well. Like, I'm not going to do this until it's all perfect. No. Doing something is better than doing nothing. People say to me all the time, like, John, what should I do? Doing something is better than doing nothing. Yes, okay, you got to do some planning and things like that as well, but how much longer are you going to keep procrastinating? Start thinking about how you can always not beat yourself up and say to yourself, okay, that didn't work. Here's what I'll do better next time, and just write them down. I remember one time, one of my big shots in the whole speaking career, one of my promoters flew me all the way out into Malaysia, and I did my first keynote there, and I walked on stage and I was like, yeah, I'm the best. And I started speaking, I completely bombed. And I remember walking off that stage going, you know what, I can't believe I messed it up. I can't believe I didn't put enough practice time, because it's a completely different culture. How you speak in the USA, in the UK, in Europe, in Asia is completely different. I was like talking, it's like, why are they not responding? Asian kids go to school, it's like, don't talk when the teacher's talking. But actually a lot of my talks that I do is very interactive. And I kept beating myself up, but what I didn't realize is that's actually the culture. A lot of the time we're just in our head. And it's okay to be in our head, because when we're in our head, we know that it's not the external forces that stop us from achieving more. Again, I'm talking about failure now. How do you handle it? How do you turn failure into power? How do you take those setbacks and use them like a slingshot? If you pull the slingshot back and you let go, it goes further and faster. You actually want more failures and you want more feedback, because it's going to tell you what people want more of. It's going to tell you what did not work and what did work, and do more of that. The eighth thing is create a plan of action. People don't have any step-by-step things to do. For example, when I wake up in the morning, what's the first thing I gotta do? If I look at my business, it's always TLC, traffic, leads, conversion. It doesn't matter what business you are, whether you're a real estate company, whether you're a service-based business, whether you have an online business, whether you have a restaurant, it doesn't matter. You need customers. To get customers, you need to create awareness. If you've watched any of my content, I always talk about awareness times attention equals income. So we've always got to start creating more awareness so people know who we are. Every day is like I'm always thinking about for my business, how can we create more awareness? Which is why I always create these content. And I'm always thinking about what is it that people want more of? How can I serve them more? What's the thing that will really benefit them? And when you understand all these things, guess what happens? Your life gets easier. Let me give an example. If you want to be happy, happiness is predictability. Whereas if you're stressed, it's unpredictable. But as entrepreneurs, we lie somewhere on this side where we always want things to be stressful because we always got adrenaline going. And you have a clear plan of action of what to do. You know exactly, I'm going to get up in the morning. Here's what I need to do. Bang, 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 bang. Same with like your health. What's one thing I'm going to do every single day? I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go for a run. Or I'm going to go to the gym. One of these three things. Also, your relationships. What do you do with relationships? Okay, have breakfast, have lunch, have dinner, have date nights. If you're parents, spend time with your children as well. So you need to block that time out. When we look at a plan of action, the mistake that people make, they don't put time frames to it. And if you don't put time frames to it, it gets lost. Then it's always, oh, I'll get around to doing it tomorrow. How many of you know what I'm talking about? I know, because I've been there myself, and still I'm guilty of this as well sometimes. So I'm just trying to give you all the different things I've learned in the last 20 years. I've faced a lot of criticism, I've faced a lot of failure, I've faced a lot of setbacks, but I use that as power, as a slingshot to really go faster and quicker and to avoid those potential landmines. You know, I'm always running virtual events. If any of you love to attend any of my virtual events, I run them. I go into a lot of detail, a lot of strategies, and you can see my screen. I also have some of my guest speaker friends who are multimillionaires, and some of them big celebrities and some of them billionaires that come in and they teach some of the strategies as well. And I'd love for you to learn from the people that teach me, because I know a lot of you can't just shell out 5,000, 10,000 a session to spend time with these people. So I take the knowledge, I acquire it, and I bring those network to you. There's proximity and power. So if any of you would love to attend any of my virtual events, head over to johnleeevent.com. Put a link around here as well. Ninth thing is you have to stay committed and persistent. There's a story called 3 Feet from Gold, and it goes a little something like this. So a farmer buys all this machinery and he buys this land and he's digging for gold. So he digs. Year goes by, 2 years go by, 5 years go by, 10 years go by. And guess what happens? He doesn't hit any gold. So what does he do? He sells that equipment to somebody else. He sells the land to somebody else. And new person that gets it starts digging and bang, hits gold within a day. Most of the times right now, when you're about to give up, when you're about to stop doing the things that you know you should be doing, but you're not doing, that is the time when you know that the results are coming. It's very close. But the problem is you give up just before. And it's a sign. You know, when you look at a Chinese bamboo plant, the way it grows, when you plant it, after a year, nothing happens. 2 years, nothing happens. 5 years, nothing happens. And bang, you get this sprout. And what's it been doing? Then after that, it grows to like 50 feet. Why does it do that? Because it spent all those years growing its roots. You have to be patient sometimes. Acquiring a skill, you don't get good at it straight away. It's like when you go driving, you're not good at just driving straight away, are you? You have to look at the mirrors, put your seatbelt on. You have to concentrate. You've got 2 hands on the wheel. You've got the clutch. You're trying to find the biting point. A lot of you in the US, you do a lot of automatic. But the point here is that you don't get good at things straight away. And it's the same when you're trying to get into something. Our mind is almost like 5 years ahead of where we are right now. In fact, you'll find that your mind is moving faster than your body. So it's thinking in the future. I got to take my own advice on this. My team members are constantly, John, you're going too quick, going too fast. Sometimes there is the reason to speed of implementation is the key. But a lot of the times, if you just spend about 5 or 10 minutes of planning stuff, and it'll save you years in execution. But staying committed to it, when you try something, try not to say, oh, this doesn't work. Ask yourself, okay, why didn't that work now? Because here's the thing, when you ask yourself better questions, you start getting better answers. And a lot of people, they give up too early. The last thing which I think is really important as well, by the way, if you're loving this, do make sure you hit the like button because it just helps the algorithm. Do me a favor, if you're finding anyone right now who is in trouble, who needs help, who had a setback or whatever, like share this video with them, share this podcast with them. I really want them to just not worry. I think life is already happened for us. Imagine a train, like we're on the rails going. We're already on that trajectory. When we're thinking about how can we help support people, when you help other people, they help you, they help other people, and it comes back to you. So that's why I would love you to share this video with people. Right? Remember, let's change our positioning on that. It's not failure, it's feedback of what we need to do next. So when that failure happens, what do you need to do next? Which brings me to the last one, which is you got to diversify your approach. You can't do the same thing over and over and over again, expect a different result. For example, for many, many years, I've kept saying, I really want to grow my YouTube channel. I really want to grow my podcast, but I never really put time, like I was always too busy. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. And here's the funny thing. I've been on YouTube since 2008. Did it for a couple of years and I just stopped. I even started my podcast and I just stopped it because here's the thing. When we talk about diversify your approach, you got to do something that's different that you haven't done before. And then what happens is when you start doing it, you look at what feedback you're getting and the positive feedback that comes back, you start doubling down on it. You start doing more things. You start making sure that I did this, it didn't work. Let me try this, it didn't work. Let me try this. And you always look for different things, but you must always test, right? You just got to test things out. For example, a lot of my friends keep saying, oh, John, you need to invest in Web3. Look at what's happening with tokenization. Tokenization is where companies can now have points for people to buy their products and services rather than using cash. And I start seeing this whole shift. In my space, it's the whole investing and business. And I had a friend of mine who made like 100 million. I was like, geez, how did you do that? Because she got in early. She was learning the things like most people don't understand. And she was sharing this with me. And then as soon as I started to understand, I said, oh my God, there's ways to actually have money work for you. You can put your money into something. A lot of you are putting money in the bank, which is the worst place you can put it because you're not getting a very big interest. There are places where you can put it where you're getting a much higher interest rate. If there's any specific content you would love, can you just leave a comment below or just send me an email and let me know like what type of content you would need? Or if any of you have any questions based on anything I've talked about, I always personally go into the chat and I always answer people's questions as well. I'd love to hear some of your feedback on this, but if you want to achieve something different, you must do something different. Do the same thing, you get the same result. Really hope you got a lot of value from this. I'll link a video at the end as well to show you some of the habits of what millionaires do. So you want to check that one out as well. Like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm. And the more people that join this channel, the more I'm able to help support you with more and more content. So really hope you got a lot of value. Check out this video here.